Good afternoon, everyone, and I would like to thank you for taking the time to join us today for our live webcast in joint collaboration with HP Software. The focus of our webinar this afternoon is on the new features of QTP UFT version 11.5. We will discuss some of the key features of the tool, such as updated IDE, image-based objects, enhanced debugging features, and more. I am proud to be joined by two of my colleagues. My first colleague would be Mr. Peter Shabe, which is our Global Partner Director, and Richard Pascoe, our Principal Consultant. I will quickly go through the agenda with you. Welcome and test out overview will be done by my colleague Peter, and the rest of that on the agenda would be done by my colleague Richard Pascoe. And we will have a 5-minute to 10 minutes Q&A session at the end of the presentation of my colleague Richard. Before I pass over to my colleague Peter, please feel free to type in your questions throughout the whole presentation on your own individual Q&A pod at the bottom of your screen. We will be able to reply to your questions towards the end of my colleague's presentation on the QTP UFT features. Without further delay, I now pass you over to my colleague Peter Shabe.
Thank you, Mel. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this, the latest in our series of HP software webinars. Just to give you all a little bit of background on Test House, if you haven't come across us before, the company was formed in 2000 with a pure focus on IT risk mitigation. So everything we do is around performance, functionality, and security testing. We're headquartered in London, and we have additional full service centres in Madrid, Dubai, and Trivandrum. We also have overseas sales operations in the US and the Middle East. In terms of our relationship with HP, we've been partners for over 10 years, initially with Mercury and HP Software since 2006, achieving gold status in 2009. We are a big reseller and service partner for HP, so anything around HP licenses, we can assist you in terms of purchasing, training, or service thereon. We used to call ourselves the independent experts in software testing. However, we realized that a significant part of the engagements we were undertaking were all with HP tools. Given the fact that they were the market leader, that's not too surprising. So we've now changed our strapline to IT risk reduction through best practice. HP over the years have continued the Mercury philosophy of reinvesting in the tools, which we believe will ensure that they do stay as the market leader for the foreseeable future. I'm now going to hand over to Richard, who's going to walk you through the bulk of the presentation, but please feel free to, as Mel said, to put up any questions, and whether it be it technical, commercial, or whatever, we'd be more than happy to answer. Richard, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, HP UFT. This is rebranded from Quick Test Pro around about this version. UFT is Unified Functional Testing. And for those that are aware of service tests, this is basically now a combination of the two. So HP have brought the two together under one tool and called it Unified Functional Testing. So using this tool, we can now automate the GUIs and the APIs, and most recently mobile applications functionality. Mobile applications is fast becoming the forefront of our technology. So a lot of you will be aware of these, and hopefully UFT will give you some automation solutions for this. But UFT enables us to create solutions for all application and functional tests. So what have we got that's new? The IDE, the Integrated Development Environment, has been updated, which enables you now to work on multiple tests at the same time. IDE support for editing more than one action at the same time. So if you have more than one action in your tests, you can have multiple action editing. This has also improved the statement completion, improved dynamic lists of values, code folding, and code snippets. more features, image-based objects and controls identification. Those users of QTP will be aware of some of the limitations of object recognition. So there's now a new feature called Insight Recording for GUI tests. Insight Recording identifies the object based on images just as a human being would. And image-based testing, the feature can allow us to test applications on non-Windows operating systems. So what have we got new in the UFT features? There's new add-ins for Flex and Qt. I've included just a couple of GUI shots there so that you can see where those sit during the installation process. The add-ins give you the ability to test both Flex and Qt GUI apps using UFT. For UFT to work with a Flex application, you must compile it with the UFT Flex pre-compiled agent. Testing Qt applications does not require any other steps other than loading the Qt add-in and testing your Qt app just as you would like any other UFT supported application. Further additional features, you have new run step features for API tests. So for service test API users, this feature is a simple change, but I think it's an absolute killer enhancement that's going to save a lot of time. The ability to run any step on the canvas areas using the new run step command. This saves you having to go right back to the start to run your test up to the point where you needed to debug. If you have an API test made up of, say, 50 operations, you no longer need to run the whole test from the top. Simply right-click on any operation on the canvas and selecting Run Step will run only that operation. So you can run individual steps. Quite powerful and, like I say, exceedingly useful. Another new feature, another one that's very, very useful. It's been a long time coming. Insight. This is image-based object identification. If you need to test an application that QTP was never able to recognize, or if you need to test an application that runs remotely on a non-Windows operating system, using the new Insight feature in UFT will now allow you to successfully run tests against these types of challenging situations. Continuing on that vein, let's just have a little drill down into this area. Insight works by UFT recognizing objects in an application based on what they look like. If you're testing an application that UFT doesn't support, it shouldn't matter that none of the object's native properties are recognized, since UFT will instead use an image to help identify it. As you can see, there's 3 examples there, and all images are stored in the object repository. So again, bear in mind, you existing QuickTest Pro users, if you're sharing your object repository with other scripts, then these images also become available for those other scripts. Enhanced debugging features. Again, anyone that has been coding on QTP knows how frustrating and limited the current QTP debugging capabilities are. On top of that, debugging is one of the most important parts of creating a script, which is why you'll be happy to know that the debugger in UFT has been greatly enhanced. The following panes have been added and enhanced. There is now a call stack, allows you to view information about the methods and functions that are currently in the call stack. You have loaded modules for API tests. This pane allows you to view information on DLLs that are loaded and executed in API test runs. You have threads. So you have a thread pane for API tests. Allows you to view information about threads currently running as part of the run session. Local variables pane allows you to view all the current values and types of variables in their current context. A console pane. When debugging a script, this pane allows you to run lines of VB script for GUI tests and C# code for API tests in your suspended run session. Watch. When debugging, this pane allows you to view the current values and types of selected variables, properties, and VB script of C# expressions in a test's suspended run session. For those of you that are well, I'll just elaborate on that a little bit. You know, you can set watch variables so that if you're trying to test the value of a variable in debug, when you suspend your debug session and step through line by line, the minute that value changes, you will get a flag to tell you it's changed, so you can obviously debug your code. And the debug pane enables you to view the current values and types of variables, properties, and VB script or C# in a test suspended run session. Again, guys, I will just reiterate what Peter and Melanie said earlier. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in, and we'll try and pick some up after this webinar. New UFT features. So unified functional testing, you get a unified IDE. In previous releases, HP had separate products for functional testing. QuickTest Pro was used for testing GUI applications, and Service Test for testing non-GUI technologies. Unified functional testing combines both products and features, a front end that merges the separate tools into one common user interface. This is effectively what we're getting in version 11.1. When creating a new test script in UFT, the user is now given a choice between creating either a GUI test, formerly known as QTP, or an API test, formerly known as Service Test. This section focuses on the API testing piece from UFT. UFT also allows the user, with a proper license for each piece of course, to integrate steps from GUI, API, and load runner into one test script. The ability to call and pass data from one test type to another enables the user to create true end-to-end testing solutions. And as you can see on the diagram there, on a new test, select type, you have GUI test, API load test, and an API. Further additional features. The new IDE also allows you to open multiple tests and libraries at the same time. This is destined to be a huge time saver, especially for QTP engineers that have created action-based frameworks. So all of you QTP engineers out of there, this is good news for you. Great time saver. What I'd like to do is I'd like to just break away from the slideshow for a second. I just want to run through a couple of simplistic processes for you non-QTP guys. What I'd like to do is I'd like to just show you how we can create a simple test. Just bear with me. Yeah, I just want to create a simple test where I'm just going to literally fire up a web screen. I'm going to log into the web screen, capture some information, and log out, and then data drive that. The reason I want to show these techniques, these are very, very common techniques, which any quick test programmer, because that's what you guys are. When you use quick test, you're programmers. I just want to show how you can do this. This is one of the techniques, fairly standard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, from the QTP GUI, I'm going to just fire up a record session. And the record session is asking me now what it is I want to do with my web page. I already have my record settings to say I'm going to be using the bbc.co.uk website, and what I'm going to do is from the website I'm going to sign in, and as you can see from the QTP screen along here, you can see we're already starting now to record some information. So just going to type in a username there, and again we get a line recorded in our script. Type in a password there, and now here we have a logged in web page. As you can see, I now have some lines of text in my script there. So I'm now going to insert a checkpoint, and I think I'll just do a bitmap checkpoint right here. The purpose of doing a checkpoint here is just to make sure that, I'm sure some of you are aware, if you have a slow internet connection or a lot going on your machine, you can get slow responses from Internet Explorer or any web browser. And this checkpoint enables the script to pace itself with your browser. So by putting in the checkpoint, what you're doing is you're saying to your script, sit here and wait until you see the bitmap that I'm asking you to look for. So as you can see, it's capturing the BBC logo here. So what I'm saying is to my script, run up to the point and then wait until the browser displays the BBC logo. That then tells you that the browser is displayed on the screen and the script can continue. I'll just say OK to that. I get another line here. I could then continue to do some other bits and pieces on my web page, which I would capture. However, to keep this short and sweet, I just want to show you then a logout, and we'll stop the test there. What I now have is a very brief Quick Test Pro script here, and as you can see, I've got some set values, some hard-coded values there for the email address and here for a secure login. What I'm going to show you is the way to parameterize this so that if you wanted to use an iterative script with different passwords, different usernames, then this enables you to do so. So from our tools, if we come down to data driver, the data driver then will go through the script and analyze and find everywhere where it believes there are some hard-coded constants. And as you can see, it's picked out two. It's picked out my password and it's picked out my username. So for the password highlighted there, I will say, yes please, I want to parameterize that. And the data driver wizard now kicks in and says, okay, let's give you some options here. I'll do this as a step-by-step parameterization. If I say all, then it will just go through every single option in the original list and do them all in one go. But for this example, I'm going to do step-by-step. So it says configure the value. And it'll say, right, this is my value, it's a password. And what I'll do is I'll give that a simple name. And I will store this in my global data table. And as you can see now, it has changed my parameter to say data table password DT global sheet. Now, for those of you that cut code in Quick Test Pro, you will recognize that instantly as being a data table parameter. We finish that one, and as you can see, I now have one that's parameterized, one that isn't. So I'm now going to move to my second one and say parameterize. Again, step by step. And again, in this instance, you can now see okay, got it. I'm now going to just change that to username and say OK and finish. And there you go. You can now see that both my values are no longer constants, they are both parameters. If I say OK, and you now come and look back at my code, you will see that now instead of my username, there's a piece of code that says data table username, and I have a column in my data table here with the value of my username. If I now come to my second one, you will see that I have a slightly different set statement. I have a set secure. This is because the field has been recognized as a password, as a secure entry. So rather than give you the password, what it's done, it has done a GUID representation of that. which the set secure parameter then translates. Password works. Just to demonstrate that now, what I can do is from here, I run my script. We'll now allow that to run. And in the fullness of time, you'll see that the script will, it's saying that I'm running down here. The script should then fire up a browser and then run through end to end. There you go, there's the browser. Did anybody blink and miss that? That's how fast the script ran. So it's logged in, or it's fired up the browser, it's logged in, logged me back out again, done the capture, and the script will then present me with a set of test results. Patience, of course, being one of the great assets of any automation programmer. Okay. Fantastic. I'm just going to stop the script. And it looks like I had two browsers open, so I'm just going to close down these browsers. Run that example again for you. Okay, and as is often the case with these demonstrations, obviously all the trials work perfectly, and then the live run doesn't. But what's actually happened there is that the browser that I'm running the script in is picking up my default browser, which is Chrome. The browser I recorded in was on Explorer, so obviously I'm getting a bit of a browser contention issue there. Okay, here's the summary of the results now from the second run that I've just done, having closed down that browser, and as you can see, there's my test iteration summary, and everything's passed, so my test appears to be working okay. Nothing in the system monitor, nothing in screen recorder, but there's my results. So very brief, I know, but that was just a brief example of data driving a quick test pro script. What I'll do now is bring you back to the rest of the slideshow. Okay. So, moving on with the UFT, let's now look at the enhanced support for GUI testing. The GUI testing environment has been enhanced for additional browsers. So UFT 11.5 is a recording feature, supports now IE9 and Mozilla Firefox versions 4 to 10. And playback supports IE9, Mozilla Firefox versions 4 to 10, and as you saw there, Google Chrome is also supported during playback. For 64-bit systems, Internet Explorer is standard support, and then for Java systems, you get GUI test support add-ins, .NET, and WPF. There's also new and improved support for Delphi, Oracle 11G, PeopleSoft 8.5 and Siebel, SAP CRM 7 and SAP GUI 7.2, and Office, which is the MSAA set. New and improved checkpoints. There's additional checkpoints now for file content and file content output value. which checks the text in dynamically or accessed PDF file content. There's also bitmap checkpoint enhancing. That was the part I just tried to demonstrate there as part of that script. It supports including or excluding multiple areas within the bitmap and locating a bitmap area anywhere within the runtime bitmap. Now this is useful if you have a floating window or anything that might have the same GUI but moves around in the window. The support is now there for bitmap checkpoints. And you can also select an external bitmap file as the bitmap source. Support for mobile application testing. Now this is where UFT, is formerly known as Mobile Cloud for QTP, enables enterprises to naturally extend their existing HP functional testing and application lifecycle management environment to mobile applications, allowing cloud-based and cross-platform test automation for mobile devices. Now this to me is where HP are really bringing their tool up to speed now with the market. Okay, that ends the webinar in terms of the Quick Test Pro side. So I'm going to hand you back now to Mel, who hopefully will field any questions from you. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you, Peter, for a good and excellent presentation. As my colleague Richard says, we are now taking questions. Please do type your questions on your individual Q&A pod, and we will hopefully be answering them. And if we do run out of time, we will try and take some of these questions offline, and you can obviously speak to us directly. Again, our contact details is on your screen right now, so please do type your questions in. Okay, I've got a few questions coming in for Richard and for Peter, I think. Okay, I've got a question here. First question is, does QTP support running on a Macintosh? I think that would be for you, Richard.
Okay, at the moment, no, QTP is not supported on the Mac iOS. What HP are suggesting is that you can create a VM for the Windows environment and run QTP from there to run any automation that you need.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Richard. I've got a few more coming. Next one would be, how do I tell which patches are installed? Richard?
Yeah, okay. The patches and basically all of the product info for Quick Test Pro, you can go to the help and about. So there's in the help about there is a button that says click to generate product info, and what that will do is that then launches a browser. And in that browser, you get all your system information. So it's all your operating system, the version of Quick Test Pro, plus you'll get a list of every patch that's installed. Just a brief word about that. There are a number of patches that get installed with the initial 11.5 load. And ladies and gents, please take note. They have to be installed in a particular order. It's very well documented, but if you break away from that order and install a patch before another one should be installed, the installation will fail, and you have to then manually uninstall right back to your basic product and start again. So it's quite a painful lesson to learn, so best to check that it's done properly in the first place. Good luck with that.
Perfect. Thank you, Rich. And I've got one question here with regards to cost of seat license. We will get back to you on that on offline. If you don't mind, that would be great. My colleague Peter will call you as soon as possible. I've got another one for you, Rich. The question is, any idea when Firefox 11 to 20 will be supported, or do you think they'll work anyway?
I suspect that the later versions of Firefox will be coming up in a future release. HP at the moment are saying no. You know, the versions of Firefox I mentioned in the presentation there are the ones that are currently supported. So I think I said Mozilla 4 to 10. Just bear with me. I'll just see if I can call that back up.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, at the moment they're guaranteeing 4 to 10. You may find that your script will work 11 and upwards, but if you have any issues, then HP are going to say, yeah, you'll have to wait for the next release. But I believe work is in progress.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you. I've got another one for you. The question is, so do all the new features and the amalgamation of the tools still integrate with HP ALM Quality Center? Rich, is that for you, sir?
Yes, they do. There's one of the areas that HP are very good at is the integration of their tools. As mentioned, one of the features for UFT 11.5 is the integration of Load Runner. So you can generate your load tests as well as your functional and GUI tests. And yes, as has always been the case, that all these scripts will integrate perfectly with the Quality Center. So yeah, as a central repository, continue to use it.
Thank you. I've got another one for you, Rich. Does QTP support Citrix desktop automation?
Okay, it's a good one. Now, I believe now it does. I have to put a hand on heart and say I don't know for sure just now. The previous fix around this was to have to install QTP on your host application and then access QTP through the Citrix layer. I honestly don't know if that's still the case. Mel, if you could make a note to get back to HP on that, we can find out and get back to the person that's raised the question.
We will, indeed. I will, indeed, Rich. Perfect. Keep the questions coming in, please. Again, this is your opportunity to ask any technical questions to my colleague Richard, or any other new business or general query to my colleague Peter. I've got another one for you here, Rich. Can QTP be installed on Linux?
Again, at the moment, HP is saying no. There is a request out. There is a ticket out for future work, which I believe that they are looking at doing. But at the moment, the solution for Linux is to open up a QTP terminal on a Windows machine. So it's within Linux, you still have to have a Windows machine-based QTP terminal to run your Linux apps.
Thank you, Rich. If you've got any other any more questions, please type them in on your Q&A pod. We will be wrapping up in a couple of minutes or so. So if you do have any questions, please just type it in. Perfect. Okay, I can take a few more. Richard, I've got another one for you. The question is basically, how does UFT work for the plethora of mobile devices?
I think from the device side, it's still very iOS specific. So with the operating systems that are on the mobile devices at the moment, you've got your Android, you've got your iOS for iPhone and Windows-based phones. UFT is still operating very much the same way that Service Test used to pick these up. Again, I think it's an area that is quite new, but what I will say is get in, have a look, have a play. It is pretty intuitive. So I think one of our next webinars might well be focusing on the mobile app side, because this is an emerging market. So I very much think this is going to be the forefront of everybody's technologies coming up. Yeah, get in, have a play. Just try. Just try the different devices and see how you get on. But if you could feed anything back to us as well, we'd appreciate that.
Thank you, Rich. I'll just take one more, and then we'll take some of these questions offline. The question is it now possible to record business process via Firefox browser using QTP UFT? Rich?
Yeah. Firefox is a Mozilla browser. So yeah, anything up to version 10 is currently supported, and as previously discussed, 11 and above, give it a try, but HP are not guaranteeing it until they make a official statement to say otherwise.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Peter, for a wonderful presentation. Please keep those questions coming in. We will take them offline because I know it's lunchtime for everyone, so everyone must obviously want to go for lunch. The recording will be available by Monday or Tuesday latest of next week. Before we go again, please, if you have any further questions regarding our webinar today, please give Peter, Richard, or myself a call. Again, our contact details are on the slide. Hope to see you again on our next webinar session. Our topic hopefully will be on the new ALM Quality Center tool. More details to follow soon, so we will email you the next webinar session. Again, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Thank you very much.